Hey everyone, welcome back to the Living in Maryland channel where we discuss all things living here in the great state of Maryland. And today we are talking about the things that you need to know before moving to Columbia, Maryland. Columbia is located in Howard County. It's actually Howard County's largest town or city, whatever we want to call it here in the suburbs. And it's an awesome place. It's got so much to do. And one of the first things I wanted to talk about here about Columbia is just how central it is. Now, I live just north within Howard County, within Ellicott City. I've mentioned that in probably several of my other videos. But one of my main offices that I work out of a lot is right in Columbia. It probably takes me about 10 minutes to get there. It's, pretty close, but I just love how central it is and how many things that it has to do. So, I always kind of tell people, when you're within Howard County, especially Columbia, it feels like you're about 25 to 30 minutes from almost, everything. So many things within Central Maryland. You can get to the Inner Harbor probably within about 20 to 25 minutes, depending on what part of Columbia you're in, because a lot of parts of Columbia are located, very close to 29, 95. So you're close to highways where you can really get around quickly. You're probably just about 20 to, a little over 20 minutes to Fort Meade. So many of the jobs, the contracting work that is located here within Central Maryland, Columbia puts you really close to that. And it's also really the hub of Howard County is kind of what I, tell people a lot too. It just has so much to do. You've got the mall, so a lot of entertainment, a lot of shopping. You got tons of retail and shopping, all the way up and down, parts of 29. So whenever you get off there, you're just gonna have a ton of things to do. There's Snowden River is gonna have a lot, Broken Land Parkway, just so much shopping, and everything that you're gonna need is really gonna be in-house when it comes to Columbia. So my kid is turning 4 here in the next month. We're gonna have his party at Play and Learn within Columbia. I feel like every friend of his has had their birthday party there. It's just a great indoor place where you could go in there. They got basketball hoops, they've got playground stuff inside, and it's just a great spot. So but not everyone lives in Columbia. A lot of people are in Ellicott City, Clarksville, Elk Ridge, Laurel, and people come to Columbia for so many things. When my wife and I go out on our date nights, almost 9 times out of 10 we end up in Columbia because there's just so many restaurants and so many entertainment and kind of night out things to do within Columbia. So when it comes to centrality, when it comes to things to do, Columbia is really at the top of the list of where you want to be. All right, next, just wanted to mention quickly school ratings. So I always encourage people to hop on greatschools.org or just kind of do their own research when it comes to this, just because everyone's got different standards and kind of different things that they're looking for. So, but when it comes to schools, Howard County as a whole is known for its schools. A lot of people are coming into the area. They stay in the area because of Howard County's top-notch school district. Now, when it comes specifically to Columbia, a lot of people, I think, just kind of assume I've gotten calls about this. Oh, I thought, I would see, 8s, 9s, and 10s all throughout Columbia. A lot of times that's not the case when it comes to a lot of the schools within Columbia. So I would just encourage people when it comes to schools, if you're going to be sending your kids to public school, hop on greatschools.org, check out, the parent reviews, check out, all the things that they have on there. They've got a bunch of great data when it comes to the schools. And you can see exactly what is going on here in Columbia and see if that's going to be a good fit for you. But a lot of the schools are going to range somewhere, in the 4, 5, 6 range. And sometimes that comes to, is a surprise to a lot of people. So I always just highly encourage people to do your research and see if that's going to meet kind of what you're looking for within the public schools. So definitely recommend that you do that. Next is Columbia Tax. Columbia Tax goes by a few names, Columbia Association, CPRA, Columbia Tax, but I always explain it to people as it's Columbia's city tax. So there's about 80 to 85%, maybe even a little more, of Columbia neighborhoods that are subject to this Columbia tax. There's a few what they call out parcels that are not subject to this for whatever reason. When the developer was building those communities, they just made it not subject to the Columbia city tax. So, but I would expect if you're planning on moving to Columbia, if you're considering purchasing a home in Columbia, that more than likely you are going to be looking at, paying this. So I always tell people, if you're looking at a condo, under 300,000 condo, you're probably looking at between $400 and $600 a year. And that's going to be on top of the traditional Howard County property taxes for a condo like that. If you're looking at more of a traditional townhome, anywhere from the 350 to 500, mid 500 range, you're probably looking at around 800 to 1,000 a year for something like that. Again, on top of those standard property taxes. And then your detached homes Over 450, on up to 6, 7, 800,000. It's going to range anywhere from 1,100 a year to $1,600 a year as an additional tax for Colombia. Now what do they provide for that? There is some value that they provide. It's not just a tax for taxing purposes, but so they maintain a ton of landscaping all throughout Colombia. They've got 3 lakes that they own and operate. There are interconnected trails all throughout Colombia. It's a really, really cool thing. They've got playgrounds and tot lots all around and throughout those trails. So if you really, like getting out there and just kind of, walking the dogs and being out with the kids and stuff like that, Colombia is just a really, really great place to be for that. They also have a ton of additional amenities, but I always tell people, if you pay that Colombia tax, that does not get those amenities for you complimentary. You do still have to pay an additional fee to get the amenities such as the pools, gym memberships, golf, all those sorts of things. Colombia has all that and a lot more, but that is still going to come at an additional cost. So you can hop on their website and you can check out what that is. Now you will see a resident rate and you'll see a non-resident rate. A resident rate is if you pay the Colombia tax, you're going to get at that resident rate, which is a discounted rate to those amenities. If you are someone who lives in Ellicott City, if you are someone who lives in a surrounding area that does not pay Colombia tax, you can still purchase a membership for those amenities. You're just going to pay the non-resident rate, which is going to be more of a cost. So just kind of a little breakdown of kind of how that works. And that's what, if you hear Colombia tax, if you ever hear me talk about that, it's really just Colombia city tax. Now that's part 1. Part 2 is that they act as a citywide HOA. So they do have covenants, they have bylaws, and they're going to act just as any HOA would, but really at the city level. And it does get broken down into the 10 villages, but it's all under that umbrella of Colombia Association. So if you're thinking about coming to Colombia and you have any questions about that, I know sometimes that can be a little complicated and stuff. Just give me a call. Feel free to reach out anytime and I can explain that in more detail. As always, just like to let everyone know that I am a licensed realtor here in the great state of Maryland. If you ever have any questions about buying or selling a home and wondering if that's the best move for you at this time, please feel free to reach out anytime and I would absolutely love to assist and answer any questions that you might have. All right, next thing I wanted to mention is that Colombia has all types of housing. It's much more noticeable than surrounding areas. So if you go into Ellicott City, you're gonna see a much higher percentage of detached homes than you will see in Colombia, and same thing with like Elk Ridge and some of the surrounding areas, in my opinion. So Colombia was originally designed as a planned city. So for that, part of that was really creating, you've got condos, and then right around the corner, you'll see detached homes, townhomes. You see a lot of that stuff really kind of blended together and interconnected. So no matter what type of housing you're looking for, no matter what your budget is, more than likely Colombia is going to have something that's going to meet what you're looking for. Next, and I know this is random, but I just like to mention this because I see them all the time and I'm always very cautious when I'm driving, is Colombia is a bigger fan of red light cameras than a lot of surrounding areas. So this is something you want to be prepared for, especially on Stone River, especially on broken land, and just kind of keeping an eye out for that. I always feel really, I'm always like expecting the yellow, so I'm sure that really bothers people who are driving behind me. But the last thing I want is getting that thing in the mail saying that you got to pay $100 for running a red light. So when you're in Colombia, just be aware. Advice from just a local realtor here is that you're going to see more of those red light cameras as you're driving throughout Colombia than you're going to see in surrounding areas. And last but not least, if you are thinking about jumping in and buying a home in Colombia and you're really targeting Colombia is just something I wanted to let people know. There's not going to be very much new construction. Now, Howard County as a whole does not have a lot of new construction, but Colombia is going to have even less than a lot of surrounding areas. It's a pretty developed area already. And I think that's probably the biggest reason is you just don't see a lot of, communities and new communities popping up, large communities and stuff like that. So we will see a little more of individual lots. Maybe a builder locates an acre of land and they break that up and they build 2, 3, 4 homes. So we see a little bit of that. But as far as like larger communities, typical new construction communities, you're really not going to see a whole lot of that within Columbia. So if you're really looking to target new construction and looking to target Columbia, there may be some limitations when it comes to that. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. If you ever have any questions about Columbia or anywhere within Central Maryland, please feel free to reach out anytime, and we will see you at the next video.